All right, welcome back to Bayou Time. I'm Martin Folse. We're taking phone calls, and later we'll show you an editorial by the Comet and the response back from the District Attorney's Office in Lafourche Parish. And of course, Cam Morvaughn is the District Attorney in Lafourche Parish. But the letter was written by Joe Soignier, who's the first Assistant District Attorney of Lafourche. So there you go, and we'll show you that in a little bit. Let's take a couple of phone calls if we can. HTV, welcome to Bayou Time. Go ahead, please.
Yes, Mr. Folse.
Yes, go ahead.
I have like two things.
Okay.
One of them is the problems we have like at certain intersections in Houma when you're trying to get out. I know there was an article in the Houma Courier, like over at Walmart and places, you're trying to get out and there's a stop sign there. And up in Lafayette, I know this is nothing new. They have it in Europe. There's a thing called a roundabout.
Okay.
It takes up a little bit more than just an intersection. My daughter happens to live in Youngsville.
Okay.
And they have what they have taken. They have making like it's almost a big circle. And boy, you talk about improve the speed of people pulling up and going around, and they've kind of lifted the roadway and made superior drainage, and they built I'm not advertising anybody, but they built a new Rouse's out there south of that, and you talk about move traffic, and that would be ideal if right there by, I think it's Home Depot, Walmart, and all along in there, if they'd have built a roundabout. And maybe this, I don't know if it would have worked over there on Martin Luther King or some places like that, but where we're tying those new roads in, over there on Martin Luther King, they're building new roads, and basically they're going to make that just like Main and Park. I mean, sooner or later that road is going to plug up just like, Park and...
Well, let me ask you this. When you say a roundabout, because I haven't seen it, how big is it?
It is... it's not that big, but you would have to go, I guess, to Youngsville and get with those people in that parish over there and get the size of it. But it's not that big. It only handles one car to go around it, and it actually has yield.
But it takes you off the straight and narrow, so you don't speed as much.
That's right.
You slow
but
down.
It allows you to proceed around in this circle. If you want to go out and go, another direction, you can go that way. Another car can feed in, and it's just a simple little process.
Okay.
And traffic flows, and you know what you're sitting there with now. Whenever you go over there, you back up. A lot of times of the day, you back up 5, 10, 15 cars.
Right.
And it's a simple process. And I don't know why anybody hadn't thought of it here in Houma.
Yeah, I'd like to see it work, because I've never really thought about the process myself, so I'd like to see it work.
You know where Youngsville's at, right there south of Lafayette.
I do.
They're building them all in the newer subdivisions. You ought to see the road work they're doing up there. I don't know where they got their tax dollars to do it, but hey, man, they're resurfacing a lot of roads.
But I wonder if it's sort of like where I live when we go in at El Paso in Mulberry subdivision. There's where the intersection comes. It's a circle. I guess that's the same thing you're talking about. And people come up, if there's 4 cars that come up to it, then everybody can sort of gradually keep moving around it. Is that what you're talking about?
I don't know. The easiest thing to do would probably go to Rouse's and ask them. There's a huge one right there in front of Rouse's. Okay. It's a bigger one because they have a new school there and they have a new Walgreens, and it is a huge one. Of course, it's a major thing there.
I think it's probably the same thing they have in Mulberry subdivision in Houma, but I'll check and see.
They could use one right there, along these major cross intersections instead of, it was right up in the Houma Courier. The next thing I have, probably a state issue, like rebuilding our coastlines. I saw an article, it was on television, about over in Kuwait, how they built these massive motels and stuff. Of course, the economy is such, I doubt if they're filling them up now, but they use these dredges to pump up sand, which they vibrated these suckers, sand, until it got as hard as rock. and then they put rocks as breakwaters, and they actually built, it was like 60 and 70-story hotels on that sand because it became hard,
Right.
and waves, and the sea wouldn't wash it away. And I'm thinking, well, why didn't we do that here along our coast? Why didn't we build islands?
You're going to make Mr. Rome happy. He's been calling up ever since I've been on the air for 25 years talking about rocks. You're going to make him happy.
Well, this right here, if we just vibrate the sand and harden it up, because we got beaches along here, and instead of building these barrier islands out of sand that washes away, but these pumps and these sand, of course, you know where they were made at? Here in Louisiana.
I'll be.
But they were like $100 million, and we sold them like 5 of them, and I'm sure they're through building over there. So what they do with them? They probably mothballed them. So why don't we buy some of those, ship them back over here, rebuild our coastline with this hardened sand? I mean, we could build from Florida to Texas, and we wouldn't have this problem with erosion or something, you know? What we're doing, we're sitting here saying, oh, God, I wish we'd rebuild our coast. Let's go plant some bush and, some marsh plants.
Sometimes the things that are presented for us to do seem a little too easy, so we overlook them for the harder things when the easier things sometimes are the best things.
Well, yeah, if somebody, we got these, and I really do think these people say, well, I won't, it's sort of like, I need my job, so let's go out here and let's plant some grass. We'll come back next year and plant some more, but, while that falls away.
Bingo.
That ain't working.
No, but you hit the nail on the head. That's for sure.
Let's go have
longevity in some of these studies and projects drive me crazy. They always did.
The Corps of Engineers, how many studies have we had over the last 20, 25 years? If it took a study for them to build you a house, you would be dead and gone and living in a tent on your yard.
You will have no argument from me on that, I promise you.
Well, that's my things tonight is those two, I guess, Mr. Folse.
Right.
My wife says, oh, you're preaching to the crowd around here. So.
But keep preaching, brother. Keep preaching.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
You have a good evening. Bye-bye.
All right, we do have to take a break. When we come back, we're going to do a few more phone calls, and we'll get into the editorials that have been traded in Lafourche. So we'll take a break, but don't go away.